This is the InnovaBuzz podcast, helping smart businesses be even more innovative.
Hi, I'm Jürgen from InnovaBuzz. Welcome to episode number 62 of the InnovaBuzz podcast, designed to help smart businesses with an interest in innovation become even more innovative. The theme of this week's podcast is Take Massive Action. This is from the 5 principles of success from NLP, and I was prompted to choose this theme because that's what I've been doing this week, taking massive action. So it has been a really busy week, and there's quite a number of massive action points that I want to share with you today. The first massive action is setting up our marketing campaign for our planning retreat in Thailand. I've talked on previous podcasts about this magical goal setting and planning retreat that we've got coming up in May together with 4 other awesome business owners. So I'll have more details about that event later on in the podcast, but what I wanted to share today with you is the marketing campaign that we're building for it. Now I'm going to lay it out for you in detail right here, and if you're interested in seeing it in action, then I'll describe later on how you can do that. So another principle from the 5 success principles of NLP is begin with the end in mind. And that's what we've done here with this marketing campaign. We've begun with our end in mind, which is focusing on getting our ideal customer to the planning retreat in Thailand, where we can help them get really clear about their goals and their plans for the next 12 months and grow. Now, the first part of that, of course, is identifying who the ideal customer is. And you might ask, well, who is that? So these are business owners who want to move from buying themselves a job to owning a highly profitable business that provides abundance and enables them to have the family lifestyle that they want. They're driven by the desire to make a difference in their community and their business, and are motivated to learn and grow. Their biggest challenge is scaling their business to the next level. So that's what we've defined as our ideal client. And the end goal we have is bringing them along to this planning retreat where they get away from the day-to-day grind of their business, of the job that they've bought themselves, and elevate above that so that they can actually plan for the next 12 months. Now, we're thinking about people that are growth focused, that are up for $1 million turnover in the following 12 months. They're committed, and we're going to help those business owners set the plans and achieve that lifestyle and business. So that's the outcome that we're aiming for. So then the second step of our marketing campaign is working backwards from that outcome. So how do we deliver that? Well, clearly that's the workshop in Thailand where we work together with those business owners. Stepping one layer back from that again, how do we convince them to come to that workshop and that they will be getting information and workshops of value there? And one step before that then are a series of webinars where they will get to know us. They will get to know what we bring to the table and how we can help them. And the whole webinar series will be built around those 5 success principles, and each of the presenters will focus on our specific areas of expertise. So then to get them onto the webinar, we want to gain their interest, and the step before that will be some free offer that they actually take part in. And that free offer would be given to them in exchange for their email, where we can then send them a series of educational emails to expand on what we have in that offer. For example, valuable and educational content that helps them do some planning tasks. Now, at the front of that, in order to get their interest for that, we have valuable and educational content that captures their interest to start with, and that is in the form of a blog post. So walking back then from that blog post. So my blog post is going to be a content marketing framework that saves time and makes blogging easy. That blog will then lead to a free offer, which is a content marketing strategy worksheet. Following on, when they download that free offer, they'll get 5 emails which will educate them on how to use that worksheet and how to actually set up a great content marketing strategy. The Get to Know You offer then is, as I said, the webinars. So my webinar will be around the 5 success principles of content marketing and blogging. And at that webinar, we'll dive into planning out content for the next 12 months and then offer them a trip to Thailand where we'll actually work in detail on building the content for that 12 months so that they'll have everything they need to publish over a 12-month period, their content plan. And of course, they will be working with the 4 other business coaches, 5 of us in total, to develop plans around a whole range of other areas so that they can grow their business to that $1 million turnover. Anyway, back to our marketing plan. So the third step, of course, in this was to set the whole system up, and that's where it gets a little bit tricky. So setting it up involves publishing the blog. It involves a landing page. It involves a thank you page. Then, of course, there is the offer document, the content marketing strategy worksheet. There is the second offer, which is the webinars, and there will be a series of 4 webinars. So we had to set those up. There is a drip email campaign with the educational emails and a reminder about the webinar offer. There is a video information page with 5 launch videos where we sat down one afternoon and recorded a whole set of interviews with each of the presenters about their contribution to the workshop and why it's a good idea for people to come to that workshop. So there'll be a video information page with that. And then, of course, a webinar registration page and sales pages around the planning retreat itself. So a lot of moving parts to get right. And I could have just given up when things didn't quite work out, such as having a very slow internet connection during the week when I was setting up pages and losing things prior to having saved them. But I didn't, because taking massive action means pushing through those barriers, and that's what I did. So what happens with this now is that somebody will land on the blog post when it's published. They will read it and decide that it's information that is of value to them and that they actually want the offer, which is the content marketing the content marketing strategy worksheet. They'll download that worksheet, which will then place them in a marketing campaign from our drip email campaign system. They'll get a series of 5 educational emails. They'll get invited to the webinar. Once they've registered for the webinar, they will then get reminders when the webinar is and will attend the webinar, and we'll get follow-up from the webinar, and ideally the people that fit that profile audience that I mentioned earlier will then have the opportunity to join us in Thailand. So a lot of moving parts, as I said, and that was a big effort this week, and I thought I would share that with you. Now, if anybody's interested in actually seeing that drawn out in visual form, then please comment below or send us an email, and I'm quite happy to share that out with you. So watch out next week for that blog post. Hopefully we'll get that published Monday. A content marketing framework that saves time and makes blogging easy. And if you're interested in seeing how the whole marketing system works, then read the post and download the worksheet. Of course, you will be in the list to receive more information, and we will invite you to Thailand, to come to Thailand with us if you do that. But hey, it's your choice. The second massive action theme that I want to talk about today is in the form of a question from our podcast guest for next week. James Eder of the Beans Group and the developer or the founder of the Causa app. So listen to that podcast episode next week, which we'll publish then. And I promise you it will be awesome. He's a great guy. And on the episode, he quoted from The Naked Leader by David Taylor and asked, if you know you can't fail, what would you do? If you know you can't fail, what would you do? Such a powerful question. And I'd really be interested in your answer. In fact, if you're up for it, please leave a comment with what you would do if you knew you could not fail. I think the power in this question lies not in a generic answer that one might give right now when I've confronted you with this and you weren't expecting it, but in asking that question at key times, such as when faced with a decision. So, for example, recently when I was presented with an opportunity to connect with Michael E. Gerber and wondered if I could get him on my podcast as a guest, I could have listened to my inner voice that said, Michael doesn't even know who you are. He's famous, for God's sake, and he won't have time for someone he doesn't know and has never met. Instead, answering the question, what would you do if you know you can't fail, I invited him to the podcast. And as we know, he joined us and we had an awesome discussion, and the rest is history. So what would you do if you know you can't fail? The third massive action theme is also courtesy of James and next week's interview. And it's an idea I had prompted by the story of how James came to develop his Causa app. I won't preempt that. I'll leave you in suspense with that one, and you'll have to listen to James tell that story next week. But the massive action is going to involve a challenge to all of you, my listeners, and I'm going to participate as well. I'll work out the details in time for next week's episode when we'll start the challenge. But in summary, it's going to involve speaking to one total stranger every day for the next 30 days. Not just saying hello, but getting to know something about them and finding out how you can help them, just in some small way. It doesn't have to be huge. The intent is to foster connections and networking, and who knows, it may lead to something really big. So watch out for next week's episode where I'll outline the details, which I'm still working on, so that was just off the top of my head then. So I'll outline all the details next week, together with how we'll hold you accountable, and myself too, of course. Perhaps we'll have a hashtag of some sort to post on Facebook or Twitter. I mean, heck, let's start a movement. Why not? Finally, I promised you more information about our magical goal setting and planning retreat, the one that I talked about, our marketing initiative earlier. And as I said, this is to help business owners design an awesome year for their business. The event will be at the end of May. It will be in the wonderful tropical island paradise off Phuket in Thailand, where in just 5 days you'll build a plan that will turbocharge your business and enable you to confidently predict and then achieve your results for the next 12 months. The focus will be on results and on making goal setting and planning fun. And how could it not be fun in such a fabulous location? So the event's called My Best Year Yet, and it's a hands-on program developed and led by 5 masterful business owners who have the capability, the focus, the power and the drive to truly succeed. So let me know if you are interested. And of course, if you keep an eye out for the blog post next week, a content marketing framework that saves time and makes blogging easy, and follow the process there, you will be in the marketing list for that event. I hope you enjoyed this episode and that there was something of value for you here. All the show notes for today's episode will be at innovabiz.com.au/62. That is the numbers 62. innovabiz.com.au/62. You'll find everything that we spoke about in this episode, and I'll probably put the link to the blog post once it's published. Now, thank you for listening today. I really appreciate you being here, and of course, we'd love you to leave us a review on iTunes or Stitcher or Pocket Casts, and you can subscribe on any of those platforms, and I'm sure there are other platforms that you could subscribe to. So if you have a favorite platform and I haven't mentioned it, would love to hear back from you what that is, and we'll make sure that you can get the InnovaBuzz podcast on that as well. Now, reviews, we love reviews, not simply because we're narcissistic here at the InnovaBuzz Hive, but also because they do help us get found, and your feedback helps us to improve what we're doing. Now, if there is anything you'd like us to cover or questions you want answered on future InnovaBuzz podcasts, please send them in to us. Until next time, I'm Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBizz. Remember, if you don't innovate, you stagnate. So think big, be adventurous, and keep innovating.